Welcome to this video on the structure and function of the plasma membrane. This key concept in cell biology is essential for understanding fundamental biological processes. The plasma membrane plays a vital role in maintaining cellular integrity and controlling interactions between the cell and its environment. Throughout this video, we will explore its structure and its components and various functions in detail. Now let's see the overview of the plasma membrane. The plasma membrane, also referred to as the cell membrane or plasma lemma, forms the boundary between the interior of the cell and its external environment. This thin, flexible membrane is essential for the survival and function of all living cells. In prokaryotic cells like bacteria and in eukaryotic cells such as the plant and animal cells, the plasma membrane serves as a gatekeeper, regulating the movement of substances in and out of the cell. It also helps the cell to maintain its internal conditions, a process known as homeostasis. In essence, without a plasma membrane, a cell cannot survive or function properly. Now let's see the fluid mosaic model. In 1972, Singer and Nicholson proposed the fluid mosaic model, which is still the most widely accepted model of the plasma membrane today. According to this model, the membrane is not a static structure. Instead, it's flexible and fluid, like a sea of lipids in which proteins are scattered, forming a mosaic. The membrane is composed of a double layer of phospholipids, which we refer to as phospholipid bilayer, with proteins embedded throughout. These proteins and lipids can move laterally within the bilayer, providing flexibility and enabling the membrane to change shape when necessary. The dynamic nature of the fluid mosaic model allows the membrane to carry out its many roles effectively. Now let's take a closer look at the components of the plasma membrane. First, phospholipids make up the bulk of the membrane. These molecules are amphipathic, meaning they have both hydrophilic or water-loving heads and hydrophobic or water-fearing tails. This arrangement forms a bilayer with the head facing outward toward the water in the external and internal environments, and the tails tucked inward away from the water. Cholesterol is also found within the membrane, especially in animal cells. It plays a crucial role in maintaining membrane fluidity by preventing the phospholipids from packaging too closely together in cold temperatures and by restricting excessive movement in high temperatures. Cholesterol helps the membrane remain flexible but not too fluid. The proteins embedded in the membrane serves several functions. Some are integral proteins spanning the entire membrane, while others are peripheral proteins which are located on the surface. These proteins are involved in transport, signaling, cell recognition, and adhesion. Finally, the carbohydrates, often attached to lipids or proteins, as glycolipids and glycoproteins, play an important role in cell recognition and communication. These molecules form a protective coat known as the glycocalyx, which is essential for immune responses and cell signaling. Now let's see the composition of the plasma membrane in an illustration. Here you can see the lipid bilayer. You can see a head and tail, which is hydrophilic. You can see a head and the tail of the lipid molecule and their arrangement. The head towards the external or internal environment and the tail tucked in. You can see the cholesterol, glycolipid, and then you can see the protein channel and the integral proteins, and then the peripheral proteins which lie on the surface. So this is the illustration showing the composition of the plasma membrane. Now let's see the functions of the plasma membrane. As we have discussed, one of its main functions is selective permeability. This means that uh, the membrane regulates what substances can enter or exit the cell. It allows essential nutrients to pass through while keeping harmful substances out. The membrane also plays a crucial role in cell communication. Receptor proteins embedded in the membrane can interact with signal molecules from other cells. This allows cells to respond to the changes in their environment and communicate with each other. In multicellular organisms, the plasma membrane aids in cell adhesion, allowing cells to stick together to form tissues. This is important in processes like wound healing and development. Another key function is transport. The membrane facilitates the movement of molecules across its surface, either passively through diffusion or actively through processes like endocytosis and exocytosis. This transport is essential for the uptake of nutrients and the removal of waste products. Lastly, the membrane plays a role in cell recognition. Glycoproteins and glycolipids on the membrane surface allows the immune system to distinguish between the body's own cells and foreign invaders. Now let's see the type of transport across the membrane. The movement of substance across the plasma membrane can occur in several ways. The first type is passive transport, which includes diffusion, facilitated diffusion, and osmosis. Passive transport does not require energy because it relies on the movement of molecules down their concentration gradient. For example, oxygen and carbon dioxide move across the membrane by simple diffusion. In contrast, active transport requires energy in the form of ATP. This process is used to move substances against their concentration gradient, meaning from areas of low concentration to areas of high concentration. A well-known example of active transport is the sodium-potassium pump, which is vital for maintaining the cell's electrochemical gradient. Lastly, cells also use endocytosis and exocytosis for bulk transport. During endocytosis, the cell engulfs large particles or liquids by forming vesicles from the membrane. In exocytosis, vesicles fuse with the membrane to release their contents outside the cell. Membrane proteins are central to transport functions. Channel proteins form water-filled pores that allow ions and small molecules to diffuse across the membrane. These channels can be highly specific, meaning they only allow certain ions to pass. Carrier proteins bind to specific molecules such as glucose and undergo conformational changes to transport them across the membrane. On the other hand, pumps use energy to actively move ions across the membrane. The sodium potassium pump, for example, moves three sodium ions out of the cell and two potassium ions into the cell, consuming ATP in the process. This pump is critical for maintaining the cell's resting membrane potential, which is essential for processes like nerve impulse transmission. Now let's see fluidity of the membrane. The fluidity of the plasma membrane is crucial for its function. Without efficient fluidity, the membrane would become rigid and unable to perform its roles, such as allowing the movement of proteins and lipids within the bilayer. Cholesterol helps modulate membrane fluidity by preventing the fatty acid chains of the phospholipids from packaging too closely together. The type of fatty acids and the phospholipids also influences fluidity. Membranes with more unsaturated fatty acids are more fluid, as the kings and the hydrocarbon chains prevent tight packaging. Finally, temperature affects fluidity. High temperatures increase fluidity while low temperatures reduce it. Cells in cold environments may adapt by increasing the proportion of unsaturated fatty acids in their membranes. This is an illustration showing membrane fluidity. You can see the hydrophilic part and the hydrophobic part of the phospholipid bilayer. Understanding the plasma membrane structure and function is essential for medical research and clinical application. For instance, in cystic fibrosis, a mutation in the gene coding for a chloride channel protein leads to the malfunctioning of these channels. This results in thick, sticky mucus that affects the lungs and other organs. Similarly, in cancer, changes in membrane receptors can lead to unchecked cell growth and proliferation. Abnormalities in the signaling pathways initiated by membrane proteins are often implicated in the development of cancer. In drug delivery, the membrane's selective permeability is an important consideration. Researchers design drugs that can efficiently cross the plasma membrane to reach their targets inside cells, which is a significant focus of pharmacology, and therapeutic development. In conclusion, the plasma membrane is an incredibly dynamic and complex structure that is essential for life. Its selective permeability, ability to facilitate communication, and role in transport and adhesion make it a vital component of all cells. Understanding the plasma membrane is crucial for fields like molecular biology, medicine, and pharmacology, as many diseases and treatments are linked to this function. Thank you for watching.